Hey there, so it is Paige from PaigeBrunton.com, and today I want to show you how I use YNAB to profit first the money in my business. Now, I have a blog post which goes along with this to sort of give like a bit of an introduction to this whole thing, so I'm actually just going to get straight into the actual how I technically do this in YNAB. But if you want more information on sort of like the theory and the background of all of this, then I will put the link to the blog post in the description below the video, so you can check that out if you feel like that's helpful for you. So first things first, I'm going to show you what I have so far. So I have created a new YNAB budget, and I have created a business bank over here on the left-hand side, and I input the imaginary amount of money that is already sitting in the business bank. So if you are just starting, what you would do is you would add a new bank account down here, name the bank account, and then put in whatever your starting balance is. And then from there, I've already divided up my money into my different profit first buckets. Now, I'm going to go through with you from here, from basically once you have this all in here, and you start, let's say like the next week, you want to start calculating your money or dividing your money by profit first, how you would do that in YNAB. So the first thing we need to do is go over to our bank account, and we need to add a new transaction. So let's say you get paid, woohoo, a few times, then we're gonna add those things in. So payee, normally I get paid through Stripe, so I'm going to add Stripe. Where does the money go? The money is, we're gonna have money coming into the business, so I'm gonna go put it into the to be budgeted area. And then our inflow, let's say we made $5,000. And often, to be honest, you have like a few transactions here. So generally you make, I don't know, money like every day or something. To be budgeted, let's say $1,000 on that day. And maybe we also have some expenses. So, FYI, I should mention, you can do this in a slightly more efficient way than what I'm doing. You can actually connect your bank account. If I hit import, you can connect YNAB to your bank account, and all of the more recent transactions will automatically populate here. So you don't actually need to do this part that I'm doing right now. Or if your bank account for some reason doesn't connect to YNAB, you can export a file out of your bank account and then import it here. This is super efficient to do as well. So you normally wouldn't actually need to add each individual transaction, but that's just a heads up for you. So back to what I was doing. So we have some money coming into the business, and let's say that we also have some expenses. So let's say on the 23rd, I paid my Visa credit card. Good. And so category, this time, the money is not coming into the business, it's going out of the business. So we need to take it from one of our buckets. So if this is paying off the credit card for the business, it's likely me paying off like business expenses. So that would come out of my expenses bucket. And let's say the credit card was $750. I'm going to save that. And then if we come over to my budget, we'll notice that we had $5,000 and $1,000 come into the business. That was $6,000 total has come into the business. And then you'll notice over here in expenses, it has activity $750 has come out of that specific bucket. So again, once a week, what I do is I come in and I divide up all the new business revenue by the different profit first buckets. So for example, honestly, this is how I do it. I have my profit first percentages listed here. Expenses gets 30% of the money, taxes 15, owner's comp 50, and profit 5% of the money. So from there, what I do is I search what is 30% of $6,000. From there, just take that number. I go to be budgeted, I type in the number, and then I take that money, I put that money into the expenses bucket, which gets 30% of the total revenue. From there, I need to do what is 15%, 900. I come back here, take from my to be budgeted, and I put it into taxes. And then 50% owner's comp. Be $3,000. Move my 3,000 over there, and the last 5% is what we have left over. So that goes into profit. So that is, instead of moving the money to the different bank accounts and everything, what you can do is sort of like have, these are sort of, each one of these would indicate as like a profit first bank account. So each bucket is just a sort of line item in YNAB as opposed to being its own separate bank account, which is a little bit easier if you don't want to do the bank account thing. From there, if you are, the whole purpose of Profit First is to stop you from crazy overspending. So what you can do is you can go and look, okay, I have $5,550 in the expenses bucket. If I just looked at the total amount of money in my business bank account, I would see 20 grand. And the mistake which we often make is to see 20 grand and think, oh, sweet, I have 20 grand to spend. Not remembering that 10,000 of that is actually saved to pay ourselves and 3,000 of that is actually for taxes. So those really aren't things we can be spending. Only 5,550 of that is actually set aside to be used for expenses. So when you're trying to determine, can I afford something? It's worth coming into YNAB, splitting up all of the money into the different places that it should be going, and then checking on what do you actually have to spend, and that's right here. The other thing which I do is I try to have some like savings within the business for multiple months. And so what I actually do is I know on average how much I spend in a month or how much I pay myself in a month. And then I can look over here and see, okay, how many months worth of paying myself have I built up at this point? Let's say, for example, that I pay myself $2,000 a month, that I realize like, oh, okay, I've got about like 5 months of paying myself in there. So I'm good to pay myself for about 5 months if the business made no money starting tomorrow or something. So those are the important things. Remember to put all of the income and expenses, line them up in here. Again, you could just import them in. And then once you have all your different transactions in there, from there you head over to the budget and you just divide the money into the percentage sections. And then if you need, depending on, where you live and therefore how much your taxes are, or however you want to split this up based off how much revenue your business tends to bring in, then you can alter these percentages and then alter the amounts that are going into the different sections. But anyways, so this is how I use YNAB to profit first all of the money in my business. So if you do want to avoid, sorry Mike, opening a bajillion bank accounts, then this is a solid way to do it and make it really clear so that you always know exactly what you have to be spending.